I am your host Sri Muhammad Rafi, and this is my YouTube channel Zamir Universal. I am on a mission to see how a criminal, how baby killer end up from the attack, horrible attack on the United Nations run school in Gaza, shows the extreme cruelty and so the insensitivity of the Jewish people, and you wonder if they are God's chosen people, they have to be the most unfortunate and the most ugly and the dirtiest people on earth, that they have been herded into the incinerators and gas chambers and killed. And even when you look at their conduct today, you wonder that why she have the chance to exist and why she have any right to exist. And this is the only time when Israel has been cornered, and cornered by its own mistake of a mentally retarded, schizophrenic, megalomaniac Netanyahu. You have given him a third term, and it is the intoxication of power, with all the corruption, with all the things he has taken, the money and the gifts. Instead of the spring or the council or your courts of Israel, who should have summoned him and said, why are you letting the young boys and girls off? And you force them to work in the IDF, and then you have them killed and bring their dead bodies or their cut legs and arms and heads and ears and nose and eyes. Bring them all handicapped, either blind or amputated, and given all their crutches all over their life. Most of them are suffering from depression and they don't want to fight, and rightly they don't want to fight, because why fight for what? You have no right to kill another human being, but you have been doing that consistently. This is your fifth or sixth time, and that is most of thing cruelty is upon in your time. So Netanyahu, you listen to me, and listen, if you are listening, listen closely. You are going to be burned in hell and in the deepest pits of hell, and once your skin is all burnt and you cry and scream and yell, and your wife will listen to your cries from your grave, and so would the whole of Israel. It will echo, and with the White House and all those people you are paying money by through EPIC, all those senators, and they are beasts, and allowing a criminal to come and address. I think all the congressmen and women of United States and the senators, their face should be blackened, dirty, and rotten eggs should be thrown at them, and the tomatoes, and you should be arrested even in the plane. If someone has to come with a jet over you, before you land in any of the American airport, you should be arrested. Let this be a unique arrest, either done by Hamas or by Houthis or by Iran. They are the one who are going to teach, and now you dare them, you attack with your aircrafts, with F-16 or F-30. See the surface-to-air missile and how you returned back. You covered bloody Hamil. All you can do is you kill babies and you kill helpless and armless. They have no ammunition, and they are not, they are so innocent, the women, the elderly, and then you there execute them, kill them. You've destroyed their hospitals, you destroyed their dispensaries, your bakeries, your colleges, schools. Have you left anything, the roads? You think you can frighten them? Can you ever kill a movement? No one has been able to fight. Has America ever won a war? When it has never won a war before, how on earth you think you are going to win? Now you are surrounded, and neither Houthis are going to take. And believe you me, after this schooling, the whole world, whether they belong to any religion, they are human and they have a compassion for the innocent babies. They are all going to fight you. Your army doesn't want, and they are tired, but the whole world is after you, and they will come from the north, they will come from the south, they will come from the east, they will come from the air, they come from the sea, and now this is your end. Breathe your last breath and take Biden with you, and take the whole of American Congress and all of American Senate with you, because that's both you are prior states. You are not a normal country, and you must be blacklisted in the United Nations and be sanctioned, and so should be America. I am so glad that Putin has sent his nuclear submarine and ships. It is after Kennedy, this is the again rare occasion that now there was watch for the missiles with the atomic bombs in it, because Putin rightly said, if there is no Russia, as you have sent your arms and your boots and whole of Europe. You will take the whole Europe with you. You're such a bad captain, Bideny, and your supporter, and I call you Bideny, I don't call you Dewey. And you are going to lose. You are not going to win. And Trump is also not going to win. Now, if there isn't a third party, there will be a revolution in the United States of America, and this is the first time, the first crack to break into pieces is going to occur. With you, I think the whole of Israel is going to be eliminated, and this is what the whole world is now praying for you. With these words, I am just to show some evidence of your cruelty and see for yourself whether you have any right to exist. Why should you not be sanctioned?
I wonder when Britain might actually join, because, of course, this country, I mean, you're there with the Balfour Project there today, there to actually to rectify some of the problems created by Balfour. But Britain really stands responsible for so much of what has happened in historic Palestine, and yet is one of the most it's one of the taken the hardest line effectively, really, against Palestinian recognition, along with the United States. So I wonder, do you have, given there's a general election on July the 4th, it was a picture of Nikki Haley, a former US UN ambassador and Republican presidential hopeful, signing bombs given by America to Israel. And she was writing, "Finish them off." What have you got to say to Nikki Haley?
Look, Nikki Haley's politics and rhetoric is grotesque. And that image of her signing the bombs with such genocidal language was, I think, a very true representation of where she has decided to position herself. She is genocidal, racist, and has consistently shown abhorrent disregard for.
You're watching the aftermath of an Israeli strike on a United Nations school in central Gaza. Dozens of people were killed as a result of Israeli strikes through fighter jets targeting the building where thousands of displaced Palestinians had been sheltering. Of course, as is the case with every strike that Israel conducts in Gaza, children were among those who died as a result. Just absolutely devastating. And this is happening with such consistency in Gaza that I feel like the more it happens, the less media attention it receives. But it is worth discussing because this is the pain, suffering, and destruction that the United States government, using American tax dollars, is enabling and funding. So if you're wondering what the death toll is, we don't have an exact figure because some of the bodies have been basically destroyed to the point where it's hard to identify the individuals. But the Gaza Ministry of Health put the death toll from the school attack at 40, including 14 children and 9 women, and said 74 others were injured. The Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital said that they had received as many as 40 bodies. However, there are some estimates that the death toll is higher, somewhere between 40 and 45.
Their constituents. And how normalized that language has become, because it's not just Nikki Haley. We've heard other very senior Republicans talking about Israel's right to use nuclear weapons, to nuke Gaza. This cowboy politics attitude is, or should be, petrifying to everybody else in the world, because today it's Palestine and Gaza. Tomorrow it could very well be somebody else. And that world order, which has a consistent Palestine exception, is unraveling, because when you have an exception to the rule becomes moot. Yes. And I think increasingly people around the world are fed up with that duplicity, and they do not want a world in which that is the norm, and it's their right.
And no, I mean, looking across the other side of the political spectrum in America, well, sort of, Israel's ultimate goal is to expel Palestinians, and this would be from Gaza as well as from the West Bank and East Jerusalem. And also, just talking then about the West Bank, 500 Palestinians have been killed since October the 7th on the West Bank. There has been some media coverage here in Britain of that, some actually quite powerful media coverage of that, but not a great deal. This is the forgotten.
Yeah.
This is the forgotten war against Palestinians there. But I wanted to ask you really about, because it is the language that has been used too by
Mm.
the Defense Minister Yoav Gallant when he talked in the aftermath of October 7th of Palestinians being human animals, and of the necessity to cut off all forms of supplies of water, electricity, etc. The language used by Netanyahu, biblical language, which is absolutely horrendous when you look at it. I mean, what is it about? What do you think it is about some of these Western leaders that they'd be very quick to condemn what the Russians are doing in Ukraine, but when it's in such an organized and ideological way as this, they have nothing to say, or very little. I mean, what do you make of all of that?
Emotionally, I think, and intellectually, it's been soul crushing to watch this apathy, right, from Western governments, to watch this unwillingness to see and hear what is being said, because like you said, it's not a secret. Israeli officials are shouting it from the rooftop. Israeli soldiers are practicing these genocidal instructions and broadcasting them on social media. So there are no secrets here. But I think that these governments have been so used to insulating Israel and to looking the other way, because the political wisdom, if you will, so far has been Israel is our ally. It is our geopolitical investment in the region. It must maintain military supremacy in the region because they're our guys. And they want to hold on to that policy, even though it is becoming untenable. They will be the last to join the rest of humanity, because when we look across the board, West and East, global North and global South, people in public opinion around the world has seen this situation for what it is and are fed up with it.
Israel itself, and there can be lots of explainers for this, but essentially the vast majority of people in Israel seem to be supportive of what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza. A lot of people don't have any time for Netanyahu, him partially for what happened. And of course, there are a lot of people who think that he doesn't really care very much about the hostages. But that support for this, it's not a military campaign, but this war on Palestinians on Gaza, it is a 35,000 or more Palestinian civilians killed. That support is there. But looking long term, Israel is about the size of Wales. It's a very small country. That's, by the way, including the occupied Palestinian territories. So the whole area of historic Palestine is about the size of Wales. It cannot be insulated from all that is happening around it, the white phosphorus that the Israelis may be firing, the fires that are burning, the bombs, the water supply. Everything's being destroyed around the periphery of Israel. So, I mean, do you think, looking, I suppose here's the question, I'm taking my time, but I mean, looking at the past history of settler regimes in Algeria with the French, Angola with the Portuguese, Rhodesia with the British, or the Afrikaners in South Africa who realized the need to compromise and reached a diplomatic and political solution and remain in South Africa as part of a multiracial democratic country today. But those other settlers countries, the settler societies that didn't, have gone.
Yeah.
I mean, will Israel, in its current form, if it doesn't reach a peaceful settlement with Palestinians based on equality, can it survive long term?
I think Israel is going through a period in its history where it is reaching the height of the ugliest that it can be, and it's so exposed, if you know what I mean. And I do believe that there will come a moment where Israelis have to look in the mirror and come to terms with what they've become and how they came about. They have to make peace that they were born out of sin, that they were born at the expense of an entire nation. And for that to happen, I think there has to be a combination between, the Algeria model, for example, and the South Africa model. We need to separate in order for us to heal. And in order for Israelis to feel, Jewish Israelis, to feel comfortable in self-examination. Because they are so used to being colonizers and oppressors, it will be impossible almost to have that moment if they continue to have hegemonic control over Palestinians. And right now, equality, as it materialized in South Africa, I don't think is possible. It might result in civil war in Israel, I believe. So at least as a pathway for this tormented land to heal, Israelis need to self-reflect. They need to understand that this is where they are. This is what they look like to themselves and to the world. But in order for that to happen, their comfortable reality of occupation and colonization has to come at a cost to them. So without sanctions, without Israel being treated as a pariah rogue state, as it should be treated right now, that day will not come. And it will continue to be very comfortable permanently occupying and oppressing the Palestinians.
Well, on that note, Noor, thank you very, very much indeed for joining us. Very grateful. And we wish you all the best for today and for the rest of your time in Britain. And I'm going to switch that person off who quickly phoned me up. And thank you so much, Noor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
See you again soon.
Inshallah. I hope to see you in Palestine soon.
I would love to. I would love to do that.
We'd love to host you.
Thank you.
Take care.
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें। उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार ज़रूर